Ethan Weaver adjusted his safety goggles, squinting at the holographic display that floated inches above his workstation. The high-tech laboratory buzzed with the late-night energy of dedicated scientists, their focused expressions illuminated by the soft glow of computer screens and the occasional spark from experimental equipment. It was just another ordinary night, or so Ethan thought, another day, another chance to turn into a superhero, he quipped to Dr. Maya Lin, his colleague, who was meticulously calibrating the latest batch of spider gene samples. Maya didn't smile back, her concentration unwavering. The project they were part of was no laughing matter. It was the pinnacle of military genetic engineering, designed to create the ultimate super soldier. Ethan leaned back in his chair, letting out a slow breath. If this goes south, at least I'll have the coolest party trick ever. Imagine climbing the office walls during meetings. Maya glanced at him, her eyes briefly softening before returning to the intricate data on her screen. Let's hope it doesn't come to that, Ethan. We're talking about altering human DNA in ways we can't fully predict. Before Ethan could respond, the countdown for the experiment began. The room filled with a palpable tension as the team prepared for the final phase of the genetic enhancement process. Ethan's role was critical. As the lab technician, he was responsible for monitoring the serum stability and ensuring all safety protocols were followed. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The lead scientist, Dr. Harris, initiated the sequence, his voice steady but edged with excitement. Suddenly, the room plunged into chaos. A power surge sent alarms blaring, and the holographic displays flickered violently. The serum injector malfunctioned, spraying its contents into the air just as the emergency shutters descended with a thunderous clang. Scientists scrambled, their shouts drowned out by the cacophony of malfunctioning machinery. Ethan found himself drenched in the experimental serum, the viscous liquid sticking to his skin. He yelped, stumbling as his limbs twitched uncontrollably. In the ensuing confusion, he collided with a stack of test tubes, sending them crashing to the floor. To his horror and slight amusement, sticky, web-like substances began to emanate from his wrists, tangling him in a mess of his own creation. Dr. Lin rushed to his side, her face pale with concern. Ethan, are you okay? He tried to stand, only to find himself clinging upside down from the ceiling, his arms ensnared in his own webbing. Well, I always wanted to get a new perspective on things, he joked, struggling to free himself. His earlier humor masked the dawning realization of his transformation. As the initial panic subsided, the true gravity of the situation became clear. The serum was intended to enhance human capabilities by integrating spider genes, granting abilities like wall crawling, heightened senses, and web production. But something had gone terribly wrong. Instead of a controlled transformation, Ethan's abilities had manifested chaotically, leaving him in a compromised state. Dr. Harris approached cautiously, his authoritative demeanor shifting to one of alarm. We need to contain this situation immediately. Ethan, you're a variable we didn't account for. Ethan's heart pounded as he attempted to rise, the webbing binding him tighter. Variable? I think I'm part of the experiment now. Before anyone could respond, the emergency lockdown protocols kicked in. Heavy steel doors sealed shut, and security drones whirred to life, their red lights scanning the room for threats. The military had been funding the project, intent on creating soldiers who could perform extraordinary feats on the battlefield. But now, their prize had become a potential liability. Contain him, Colonel Ramirez ordered, his voice cutting through the chaos. We can't afford any failures. Ethan's mind raced. He needed to escape before the military intervened, not just for his own safety but to uncover the truth behind the experiments. Taking a deep breath, he focused on controlling his newfound abilities. Slowly, he began to climb down from the ceiling, his movements becoming more deliberate as he gained better control. With a final effort, he released himself from the webbing and stood upright, feeling the surge of power coursing through his veins. His senses were sharper, his reflexes quicker. He could hear the faint hum of the security systems and see the slightest movements in the shadows. Dr. Lin, help me, he called, his voice steadier now. Maya nodded, her fear giving way to determination. "I'll see what I can do. Stay safe, Ethan." As she worked to override the lockdown, Ethan made his move. Utilizing his web-producing ability, he launched a strand towards a nearby console, pulling himself swiftly across the room. The web adhered to the wall, allowing him to swing through the labyrinthine corridors of the laboratory with ease. He navigated the maze-like facility, evading security drones and bypassing electronic locks with a combination of agility and ingenuity. Every step brought him closer to freedom, but also deeper into the heart of the military's secrets. Reaching the central control room, Ethan hacked into the system, searching for any data that could explain the project's true purpose. What he found sent chills down his spine: classified documents detailing unethical experiments, plans for mass production of super soldiers, and a list of individuals deemed too dangerous to keep alive. Realization hit him like a tidal wave. This wasn't just about creating enhanced soldiers, it was about control, power, and the lengths the military would go to achieve supremacy. Determined to expose the truth, Ethan knew he couldn't do it alone. As alarms blared and security forces closed in, he made his way to the main exit, using his webbing to disable surveillance cameras and create diversions. Just as he reached the final barrier between the lab and the outside world, Colonel Ramirez appeared, flanked by armed soldiers. "Going somewhere, Weaver?" Ramirez sneered, his uniform pristine despite the chaos. Ethan squared his shoulders, the weight of his transformation settling in. "I'm done being your experiment." With a swift motion, Ramirez ordered his troops to apprehend him. But Ethan was ready. He unleashed a barrage of webbing, ensnaring the soldiers and creating barriers that gave him the upper hand. The ensuing battle was a testament to his growth, each move reflecting his mastery over his abilities. In the midst of the fight, Ethan realized that escaping the lab was only the beginning. The real battle lay ahead, unveiling the military's secrets to the world and preventing further abuses of genetic engineering. With determination burning in his eyes, he prepared to face whatever challenges awaited him, knowing that his journey had just begun. Ethan Weaver's heart pounded in his chest as he faced Colonel Ramirez, the manifestation of military ambition twisted by unethical experimentation. The central control room around them was a battleground of flashing lights and malfunctioning systems, a testament to the chaos unleashed by Ethan's escape. Ramirez's soldiers moved with mechanical precision, their training evident in every step, but Ethan felt a surge of confidence. He had survived the initial transformation, and now, armed with his spider-like abilities, he was ready to take the fight to them. "Going somewhere, Weaver?" Ramirez taunted, his voice echoing ominously in the confined space. Ethan took a deep breath, feeling the cool rush of adrenaline. "I'm done being your experiment," he replied, his voice steady despite the turmoil within. Without warning, Ramirez signaled his troops to advance. Ethan reacted instinctively, unleashing a web from his wrist that snaked towards the nearest soldier, ensnaring him before he could raise his weapon. The soldier struggled, but the web held firm, immobilizing him instantly. Ramirez watched with a mix of frustration and determination. "You think you can stop us?" Ramirez demanded, drawing his sidearm. "You're a liability, Ethan. We can't have you exposing our work." Ethan glanced around, assessing his options. The control room was strewn with equipment that could either aid or hinder him. His enhanced senses picked up the faintest movements, allowing him to anticipate the soldier's actions. He darted towards the holographic display, slinging webs to scale the walls and move with agility that defied his human form. As he maneuvered through the room, Ethan's mind raced. He needed to disable the security systems, find a way to broadcast the military's secrets, and most importantly, stay one step ahead of Ramirez. His first priority was to create a diversion. With a flick of his wrist, he sent a web ricocheting off the wall, hitting several consoles and causing sparks to fly. The lights flickered, and alarms began to wail louder, adding to the confusion. Taking advantage of the chaos, Ethan swung across the room, landing deftly behind Ramirez. He could see the determination in the colonel's eyes, the unwavering belief in his mission. "You don't understand what you're meddling with," Ramirez warned. This technology will change the face of warfare. Ethan shook his head. At what cost? Lives are being sacrificed for your ambition. Before Ramirez could respond, Ethan launched another web, this time binding the Colonel's weapon to the console. Ramirez cursed, struggling against the sticky restraints, but Ethan's grip was unyielding. You're making a mistake, Ramirez spat, his frustration palpable. Ethan took a step closer, the tension between them thickening the air. No, you're the one making a mistake. People deserve to know the truth. With a swift motion, Ethan tapped into the nearby console, accessing the classified documents he had uncovered earlier. The holographic display flickered to life, revealing damning evidence of the military's unethical experiments and plans for mass production of super soldiers. Ramirez's eyes narrowed as he scanned the information, realization dawning on him. What have you done? Ramirez hissed, his facade cracking. Ethan smirked slightly. Exposing the truth. It's over, Ramirez. Suddenly, the doors to the control room burst open, and reinforcements flooded in. Ethan knew he couldn't hold them off forever. He needed to act quickly. I have to get this information out, he declared, fingers flying over the console to initiate the broadcast sequence. As the data began to transmit, alarms blared, and the room descended further into chaos. Ethan felt a surge of urgency, knowing that every second counted. Ramirez, realizing the gravity of the situation, ordered his troops to cease their advance, their attention fixed on the ongoing broadcast. Ethan seized the moment, deploying a final web to create a barrier between himself and the soldiers. You won't get away with this, he vowed, eyes locked with Ramirez's, but Ramirez was relentless. We've come too far to stop now. You think this ends with you? There are others like you, Ethan. We'll find them and complete the project. With a surge of determination, Ethan leaped towards the window, webs launching him into the air. The laboratory's exterior was a fortress, but Ethan's agility and speed made him a formidable target. He swung through the corridors, avoiding gunfire and evading capture with each daring maneuver. As he navigated the labyrinthine facility, Ethan's mind raced with possibilities. He needed allies, someone he could trust to help him disseminate the information and continue the fight against the military's oppressive plans. Dr. Maya Lin had shown herself to be a valuable ally, but she was still within the confines of the lab, potentially vulnerable to Ramirez's wrath. Reaching the rooftop, Ethan paused to catch his breath, the cool night air a stark contrast to the stifling environment inside. The city sprawled below, its lights twinkling like distant stars. He had to move quickly, but where to go? The lab was heavily monitored, and any escape route would be perilous. Just then, his enhanced senses detected movement below. A figure approached, silhouetted against the city lights. It was Maya. Relief washed over him as she emerged from the shadows, her expression a mix of concern and determination. Ethan, she called out softly, moving towards him. We need to get out of here. They'll be looking for you now. Ethan nodded, understanding the gravity of the situation. Do you have a plan? Maya glanced around, her eyes scanning the rooftop for any signs of danger. There's a maintenance shaft that leads to the sewer system. It's risky, but it might be our best shot. Ethan agreed, and together, they made their way towards the designated exit. The sound of approaching footsteps grew louder, signaling that Ramirez's forces were closing in. They moved swiftly, using Ethan's webbing to navigate the rooftop with agility. Reaching the maintenance shaft, Maya began to work on the lock, her fingers deftly manipulating the mechanism. The seconds stretched interminably as they heard the distant shouts and the pounding of boots against metal. Finally, with a satisfying click, the door swung open. Come on, Maya urged, ushering Ethan inside. The shaft was narrow and dark, forcing them to move in close quarters. The scent of dampness and decay permeated the air as they descended into the labyrinthine sewer system. Ethan led the way, his heightened senses alert for any signs of pursuit. The sounds of the laboratory faded behind them, replaced by the distant echoes of dripping water and the scurrying of unseen creatures. As they navigated the winding tunnels, Ethan couldn't shake the feeling that time was slipping away. The information he had broadcasted was already making waves, but he needed to ensure it reached the right people. He had to find a way to disseminate the data to the public, to ignite the spark of resistance against the military's overreach. Do you know anyone who can help us? Ethan asked Maya, breaking the silence. She hesitated for a moment before nodding. There's a journalist I trust, someone who's been investigating government conspiracies for years. If anyone can amplify this message, it's her. Ethan's mind raced, recalling the contacts he had from his previous life before the experiment. Reaching out to a journalist would be risky, but it was their best chance. Let's find her. Their journey through the sewers was fraught with challenges. The tunnels were labyrinthine, and the constant threat of detection kept their nerves on edge. They moved with purpose, driven by the urgency of their mission. Ethan's abilities proved invaluable, allowing them to navigate obstacles and avoid potential threats with ease. After what felt like hours, they finally emerged into a forgotten part of the city. The streets were quieter here, the neon signs casting an eerie glow on the damp pavement. Maya led Ethan to a discreet apartment building, her movements cautious yet determined. This is it, she whispered, pointing to a nondescript door at the end of the hallway. She lives here. Her name is Rachel Carter. Ethan nodded, feeling a surge of hope. Let's go. They approached the door, Maya knocking gently. Moments later, the door opened to reveal a woman in her early 30s, her sharp eyes assessing them with a mix of curiosity and caution. Rachel? Maya began, her voice steady. It's Maya. We need your help. Rachel's expression softened as she recognized her old friend. Maya, what's going on? Come in. Inside, the apartment was modest but organized, with stacks of newspapers and digital equipment scattered across the room. Rachel motioned for them to sit, her eyes never leaving Ethan's face. What happened? She asked, her tone shifting to one of concern. Ethan took a deep breath, recounting the events of the night: the experiment, his transformation, the escape, and the broadcast. As he spoke, Rachel listened intently, her expression growing more serious with each passing moment. When he finished, she leaned back, absorbing the gravity of the situation. This is explosive, she muttered. If what you're saying is true, it could bring the whole operation down. But we need irrefutable evidence and a secure way to disseminate it. Maya nodded in agreement. We've already started broadcasting some of the information, but we need to ensure it reaches a wider audience without being intercepted. Rachel stood, moving to her workstation. I have the resources to amplify this message. We can leak it to multiple platforms simultaneously, making it impossible for the military to suppress it all. But we need to act quickly before they trace it back to us. Ethan felt a flicker of hope. What do you need from us? Rachel turned to him, her eyes sharp. First, we need to verify the information. Can you access the remaining data from the lab? Anything that can corroborate your claims? Ethan nodded. I've got a secure drive with some of the documents, but I can access more if needed. I can get back to the lab and retrieve anything else we might need. Rachel placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. We'll help you as much as we can, but you need to be careful. The military won't stop until they silence you. Ethan felt the weight of her words but also the determination to see this through. I understand. I have to expose what they're doing. Maya chimed in. Rachel, can you set up a secure channel for us to communicate and share the data? We need to stay coordinated. Rachel nodded, already typing commands into her computer. I'm setting it up now. In the meantime, we should start planning the next steps. The information needs to be released in phases to maximize impact and minimize the chance of it being buried. As Rachel worked, Ethan and Maya exchanged a glance, a silent acknowledgement of the road ahead. The battle was far from over, but with allies like Rachel, their chances of success had improved. A few hours later, they reconvened to discuss their strategy. Rachel had secured multiple channels for dissemination, including independent news outlets, social media platforms, and encrypted forums. We'll release the information in segments, ensuring that each piece supports the other. This way, even if one source is shut down, the rest will remain accessible. Ethan felt a sense of purpose solidifying within him. What about protection? If they come after us, how do we stay safe? Rachel hesitated before responding. We need to stay mobile. I have a safe house we can use as a base of operations. It's equipped with the necessary security measures to keep us hidden. Maya added, and I can continue to work on disabling any remaining security systems within the lab, making it harder for them to track us. Ethan nodded, the path forward becoming clearer. Let's move. Every minute counts. They packed their belongings swiftly, ensuring they had everything they needed for the journey ahead. The safe house was a few blocks away, nestled in a quiet neighborhood that belied its strategic importance. As they made their way through the winding streets, Ethan couldn't help but marvel at how far his life had changed in such a short time. Upon arriving at the safe house, Rachel ushered them inside, securing the doors behind them. The interior was unassuming, furnished with basic necessities but fortified against intrusion. This will be our headquarters, Rachel declared. From here, we can coordinate the release and monitor the situation. Ethan settled into a chair, feeling a mixture of exhaustion and determination. What's our first move? Rachel pulled up a secure channel on her computer, displaying a list of news outlets and contact points. We start by uploading the verified documents. I'll handle the dissemination, ensuring each piece is paired with corroborative evidence. Once that's live, we shift our focus to exposing the personal stories of the experimental subjects. That will humanize the data and amplify the impact. Maya chimed in, I can get back to the lab if needed, to gather any additional information or to sabotage their systems further. The more we can disrupt their operations, the better. Ethan looked at his allies, feeling a surge of gratitude. Thank you, all of you. I couldn't do this without your support. Rachel smiled, her resolve unwavering. We're in this together. Now, let's get to work. Hours turned into days as the team worked tirelessly to prepare their offensive. Ethan delved deeper into the data, uncovering more about the military's plans and the extent of their experiments. He discovered that the project was part of a larger initiative aimed at creating an army of super soldiers, each enhanced with unique abilities derived from various animal genes. The ethical implications were staggering, and the potential for abuse even more so. Meanwhile, Maya focused on sabotaging the remaining security systems within the lab, using her technical expertise to create blind spots and disrupt communication channels. Her actions slowed the military's ability to track Ethan, buying them precious time. Rachel, true to her reputation, managed the dissemination of information with precision. She coordinated with multiple outlets, ensuring that the truth reached the public in a flood of undeniable evidence. As the data began to surface across various platforms, public interest and outrage grew exponentially. One evening, as Ethan reviewed additional documents, he stumbled upon a file labeled Project Arachne. Intrigued, he opened it, revealing detailed plans for further genetic enhancements and a list of potential candidates for the next phase of experimentation. Among the names was his own, along with several others who had been deemed too unstable or dangerous for conventional deployment. A chill ran down Ethan's spine as he realized the full extent of the military's intentions. They weren't just content with creating enhanced soldiers, they aimed to manipulate and control those individuals, turning them into tools for their own agendas. The realization fueled his determination to stop them once and for all. We need to expose Project Arachne in full, Ethan declared, showing the file to Rachel and Maya. This will blow the lid off everything. Rachel nodded, her expression grim. Agreed. The more we reveal, the harder it will be for them to contain the fallout. Maya added, I can infiltrate their network remotely, accessing secured databases to find more incriminating evidence. It's risky, but it could provide the ammunition we need. Ethan considered the proposal, knowing the risks involved. If you can pull it off, it could be the turning point we need. Let's proceed. As they coordinated their efforts, the tension between them grew palpable. The military was undoubtedly aware that something was amiss, and they would stop at nothing to eliminate the threat Ethan posed. Every move they made had to be calculated, every decision weighed against the potential consequences. One night, as Ethan patrolled the perimeter of the safe house using his wall-crawling ability, he sensed a presence lurking in the shadows. His heightened senses picked up the faintest movements, and he froze, listening intently. The sound of footsteps echoed through the alleyway, accompanied by the low hum of suppressed weapons. Ethan's instincts kicked in. He moved silently, his form blending into the darkness as he approached the source of the disturbance. Peering around the corner, he saw a figure clad in tactical gear, a gun trained on the entrance of the safe house. Without hesitation, Ethan unleashed a web, entangling the assailant before they could react. The figure struggled, but the web held them fast. Ethan stepped into the light, revealing his enhanced features. "I don't know who you are, but you need to leave us alone." The captured individual glared at him, a mix of fear and defiance in their eyes. "You think you can stop us? We're everywhere." Ethan leaned in, his voice firm. "You're not the only ones fighting against this. We're going to expose everything, and there's nothing you can do to stop it." With that, he released the web, allowing the assailant to collapse to the ground. Ethan crouched down, observing the individual as they regained consciousness. It was a young woman, her uniform indicating she was part of Ramirez's unit. But something was different. Her eyes held a flicker of doubt, a glimmer of the humanity that Ethan was fighting to preserve. "Why are you doing this?" Ethan asked, extending a hand to help her up. She hesitated, then accepted his gesture, pulling herself to her feet. "They promised me glory, a chance to be part of something greater. But it's a nightmare. I didn't sign up for this." Ethan nodded, understanding her predicament. "You're not alone anymore. We can help each other." The woman looked at him, a mixture of relief and determination in her gaze. "My name is Sarah. I was part of Project Arachne before they deemed me too unstable. I've been trying to find a way out ever since." Ethan felt a surge of hope. "We can use your inside knowledge to our advantage. Together, we can bring this operation down." Sarah agreed, sharing vital information about the military's operations, their methods of containment, and the locations of other experimental sites. Her insights proved invaluable, providing the team with a clearer picture of the enemy they were up against. With Sarah's help, Ethan, Maya, and Rachel intensified their efforts. They mapped out the remaining facilities, identified key personnel, and developed strategies to disrupt the military's operations systematically. Each mission was executed with precision, leveraging Ethan's unique abilities and the collective expertise of the team. One evening, as they prepared for their most daring operation yet raiding the main facility where Project Arachne was headquartered, tension hung heavy in the air. This mission was crucial. Success meant the imminent downfall of the program, while failure could cost them everything. Ethan stood before his team, determination etched into his features. "This is it. We take down Project Arachne, expose the truth, and ensure no one else suffers as we have. Are we ready?" Rachel looked around at her allies, her eyes filled with resolve. "We are. Let's end this." Maya nodded, her hands steady as she double-checked the equipment. "Everything is set. We go in tonight under the cover of darkness." Sarah, now an integral part of the team, added, "I know the layout. We can move quickly and avoid unnecessary confrontation." As night fell, the team approached the heavily fortified facility, their hearts pounding with a mix of fear and anticipation. The building loomed ahead, its imposing structure guarded by armed personnel and advanced security systems. But Ethan felt a surge of confidence. They had the element of surprise and the advantage of insider knowledge. Using his webbing, Ethan scaled the exterior with ease, finding a weak point in the perimeter security. The team followed closely, moving silently through the shadows. They reached the entrance, where Maya disabled the electronic locks, granting them access without triggering alarms. Inside, the facility was a maze of sterile corridors and high-tech laboratories. The air was thick with the scent of chemicals and the hum of machinery. Ethan led the way, his senses alert for any signs of danger. They moved swiftly, bypassing guards and security measures with practiced efficiency. Reaching the central hub of Project Arachne, they found rows of cells housing experimental subjects, each displaying unique and terrifying abilities. Ethan's heart ached at the sight, recognizing the pain and suffering mirrored in their eyes. This was the culmination of the military's obsession with creating the perfect soldier, devoid of compassion and morality. "We need to free them," Maya whispered, her voice tinged with sorrow. Ethan nodded, moving towards the control panel. "I can disable their restraints and help them escape, but we need to move quickly." As he worked to override the security systems, alarms suddenly blared, and the facility plunged into chaos. Ramirez appeared on the main screen, his expression one of rage and desperation. "You think you can just walk in here and dismantle everything? You're making a grave mistake." Ethan responded, his voice unwavering. "We're putting an end to your inhumane experiments." "It's over, Ramirez." Ramirez's face twisted with anger. "You may have won this battle, but the war is far from over. There are more like you out there, and we will find them." With a swift motion, Ramirez triggered the lockdown protocol, sealing the facility and activating defensive measures. The team realized the gravity of their situation. They were now entrenched in a battle to free the remaining subjects and expose the full extent of Project Arachne. Ethan's enhanced abilities came to the forefront as he navigated the fortified facility, dodging automated defenses and incapacitating guards with strategic webs. Maya and Sarah worked in tandem to free the experimental subjects, their efforts coordinated to maximize efficiency and minimize casualties. As they moved deeper into the facility, the tension mounted. The remaining guards were more formidable, armed with advanced weaponry and driven by blind loyalty to Ramirez's vision. Each confrontation tested their resolve, pushing them to the limits of their abilities and courage. Finally, they reached the core of the operation, a grand chamber where the most advanced experiments were conducted. At the center stood Ramirez, flanked by his top officers and a group of enhanced soldiers, their eyes cold and devoid of empathy. "You've come to destroy everything," Ramirez declared, a sinister smile playing on his lips. "But you're outmatched and outnumbered." Ethan stepped forward, his presence commanding. "This ends now. We're here to shut down Project Arachne and expose your atrocities to the world." Ramirez laughed, a hollow sound that echoed through the chamber. "You're a mere technician turned mutant. What can you possibly do against years of training and superior technology?" Ethan's eyes blazed with determination. "More than you think." With a surge of energy, Ethan unleashed his full range of abilities. He moved with lightning speed, webs flying from his wrists to disarm and incapacitate the enhanced soldiers. Maya and Sarah provided cover, disabling weapons and creating openings for their escape. The battle was fierce, a clash of wills and powers that left the chamber in disarray. Ramirez fought with relentless aggression, utilizing every resource at his disposal to maintain control. But Ethan's resilience and the unwavering support of his team proved too formidable. In a final, decisive move, Ethan engaged Ramirez directly, their confrontation a culmination of their conflicting ideologies. The two clashed, their battle a testament to the struggle between ethical responsibility and unchecked ambition. "You don't understand the potential of what we're creating," Ramirez snarled, his weapon aimed at Ethan's chest. Ethan countered, his movements swift and precise. "I understand exactly what you're doing. You're playing God, but at what cost? Lives, morality, humanity itself." With a deft maneuver, Ethan disarmed Ramirez, the colonel's weapon clattering to the ground. He stood over his adversary, breathing heavily but resolute. "It's over, Ramirez. You're finished. As Ramirez lay defeated, the remaining guards surrendered, their resolve broken by the undeniable truth of their leader's downfall. The facility's defenses deactivated, allowing the team to regain control and ensure the safety of the freed subjects. Ethan approached Ramirez, his gaze unwavering. This is your final warning. If you ever try something like this again, we won't hesitate to stop you. Ramirez, beaten and broken, could only watch as Ethan turned away, the weight of his actions settling in. The battle was won, but the war for justice and transparency was just beginning. With the facility secured and the evidence gathered, the team made their way out, the first light of dawn breaking over the horizon. The world was on the brink of revelation, and Ethan felt a sense of accomplishment tempered by the challenges that lay ahead. Back at the safe house, Rachel coordinated the final dissemination of information. The truth of Project Arachne was now irrefutable, and the public's reaction was swift and intense. Protests erupted, demanding accountability and the dismantling of the super soldier program. Government officials were forced to respond, investigations launched to uncover the full extent of the military's transgressions. Ethan, Maya, Rachel, and Sarah watched as the news unfolded, their efforts bearing fruit. The collaboration between them had not only exposed a dark chapter of military experimentation but also ignited a movement towards ethical oversight and accountability in genetic engineering. As the dust settled, Ethan reflected on his journey. From a lab technician with a sense of humor to a reluctant hero fighting against oppressive forces, he had undergone a transformation that mirrored the very experiments that had given him his powers. But unlike the military's cold ambition, his path was guided by empathy, justice, and the unwavering belief in the inherent value of every individual. We did it, Maya said softly, her eyes meeting Ethan's. Project Arachne is over. Ethan nodded, a sense of fulfillment washing over him. And now, we ensure nothing like this ever happens again. Rachel smiled, her role in the mission complete but her commitment to the cause unwavering. There's still a lot of work to be done, but this is a significant victory. Sarah, once a captive of the very program they had dismantled, stood as a symbol of resilience and hope. I'm grateful for your help. Maybe now, we can rebuild and make sure others don't suffer the same fate. Ethan looked around at his team, feeling a profound sense of camaraderie. We make a good team. There's strength in our unity. As they sat together, watching the sunrise paint the sky with hues of orange and pink, Ethan felt a renewed sense of purpose. The journey had been arduous, fraught with danger and sacrifice, but the outcome was worth every challenge faced. In the weeks that followed, the team worked tirelessly to support the freed subjects, helping them reintegrate into society and providing them with the resources they needed to heal. Ethan used his abilities to assist in various ways, becoming a symbol of hope and resilience for those who had been affected by the experiments. The media spotlight shone brightly on their efforts, turning them into reluctant celebrities. But Ethan remained grounded, focusing on the mission rather than the accolades. He knew that true change required more than just exposure, it required sustained effort and vigilance to ensure that the mistakes of the past were not repeated. One evening, as Ethan patrolled the city, his enhanced senses alert for any signs of lingering threats, he received a secure message from Rachel. It was an invitation to a meeting, to discuss the next steps in their fight for ethical scientific advancement. Ethan accepted, knowing that their work was far from over. The battle against unchecked ambition and unethical experimentation was ongoing, and he was committed to being at the forefront of that struggle. Arriving at the designated location, Ethan found Maya, Rachel, and Sarah already present, along with a few other allies who had joined their cause. The room buzzed with energy and determination, each person driven by the shared goal of fostering a world where scientific progress did not come at the expense of humanity. We've made significant progress, Rachel began, her voice filled with optimism. But there are still pockets of resistance and remnants of Project Arachne that need to be dismantled. We need to establish a network to monitor and report any suspicious activities related to genetic experimentation. Maya nodded in agreement. I've been working on developing secure communication channels and databases to track and store information. We can create a centralized hub for our operations. Sarah, now an advocate for ethical scientific practices, added, "We also need to reach out to other experimental subjects who might still be hidden or in need of assistance. They could be valuable allies in our mission." Ethan felt a surge of pride and determination. "Let's build something that ensures the mistakes we fought against aren't repeated. We owe it to ourselves and everyone affected by Project Arachne." As the meeting progressed, plans were laid out, roles assigned, and strategies developed. The team was expanding, their cause resonating with others who shared their commitment to ethical science and human rights. Together, they formed a formidable force, united by their experiences and driven by a common purpose. In the months that followed, their efforts bore fruit. New policies were enacted to regulate genetic research, ensuring stringent ethical standards were upheld. Former military officials involved in Project Arachne faced legal repercussions, their actions scrutinized and condemned by the public. Ethan continued to hone his abilities, using them to aid in rescue missions, protect vulnerable individuals, and gather intelligence on any lingering threats. His journey from an ordinary lab technician to a symbol of resistance inspired others, proving that one person's determination could spark meaningful change. One day, as Ethan walked through a park, watching children play and families enjoy the sunshine, he felt a sense of peace. The world was not perfect, but it was moving in the right direction. The scars of the past were healing, and the promise of a better future loomed on the horizon. Maya joined him, a smile on her face. "You did good, Ethan." "We did good." Ethan smiled back, gratitude filling his heart. "We did. Together." As the sun set, casting a golden glow over the city, Ethan Weaver stood tall, embodying the resilience and hope that had driven him through his extraordinary journey. The rise of the spider web was not just a story of transformation and escape, it was a testament to the power of unity, the importance of ethical responsibility, and the unwavering belief in the inherent value of every life. And as he looked towards the future, Ethan knew that their fight was far from over. But with his allies by his side and the support of a growing movement, he was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, determined to protect the world from the shadows of unchecked ambition and to ensure that the web they had spun was one of justice, compassion, and enduring hope. Ethan Weaver stood on the rooftop of the safe house, watching the city awaken under the first light of dawn. The streets below buzzed with the usual morning activity, but there was an undercurrent of tension in the air. Protests had erupted overnight, fueled by the explosive revelations of Project Arachne. Signs demanding accountability and ethical oversight adorned lampposts and storefronts, a testament to the public's outrage and demand for change. Inside the safe house, the atmosphere was equally charged. Rachel Carter was meticulously coordinating with various news outlets, ensuring that the information about Project Arachne was disseminated across every possible platform. Her fingers danced across the keyboard, her eyes scanning feeds for any sign of resistance or additional information that could bolster their case. Maya Lin sat beside Ethan, her eyes focused on her laptop as she monitored security updates. The lockdowns Ramirez had initiated were being systematically dismantled, thanks to her sabotage efforts. "We're making progress," she said, breaking the silence. "The military's trying to spin this, but the evidence is undeniable." Sarah stood by the window, her gaze fixed on the horizon. Her journey from a reluctant participant in Project Arachne to a key ally in their mission had been remarkable. "People are starting to see the truth," she remarked, her voice steady. "But we need to keep the momentum going. There are still pockets of resistance out there." Ethan nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. "What's our next move?" he asked, turning to face his team. Rachel looked up, determination etched on her face. "We need to ensure that Project Arachne's influence is completely eradicated. There are likely other facilities and projects that we haven't uncovered yet. We need to track them down and expose everything." Maya tapped a few keys, pulling up a map dotted with various military installations and research labs. "I've been analyzing the data we retrieved. There are several other sites that were part of the same initiative. If Project Arachne was just the tip of the iceberg, we need to find and dismantle these operations before they can restart. Sarah stepped forward, her eyes meeting Ethan's. I can help with that. I've been gathering intel from other former participants. Some of them have gone into hiding, others are still in contact with their handlers. We need to reach out and bring them into the fold. Ethan felt a surge of hope. Good. The more allies we have, the stronger our position. Let's prioritize these locations and develop a strategy to take them down one by one. As the team delved deeper into their mission, the challenges intensified. Each new facility presented its own set of obstacles: advanced security systems, heavily armed guards, and intricate networks designed to prevent infiltration. But with Ethan's unique abilities and the collective expertise of his team, they navigated each hurdle with precision and determination. One evening, as the sun set over the city, casting long shadows across the skyline, Ethan received an encrypted message from an unexpected source. The sender was anonymous, but the content was unmistakable. Meet me at the old warehouse on 5th Street. I have information you need. Ethan shared the message with his team, and after a brief discussion, they decided to proceed with caution. Trust was a precious commodity in their line of work, and verifying the credibility of the source was paramount. Under the cover of darkness, Ethan, Maya, Rachel, and Sarah made their way to the designated location. The warehouse stood on the outskirts of the city, its dilapidated exterior hiding secrets within its walls. As they approached, the sound of footsteps echoed from inside, followed by the creak of the heavy door swinging open. A figure emerged from the shadows, their face obscured by a hood. Ethan Weaver, the stranger began, their voice low and urgent. I have information about a new project. Project Arachne isn't the only one. There's a successor, one that's even more advanced and dangerous. Ethan's heart raced. Who are you? How do we know we can trust you? The stranger hesitated before pulling back their hood, revealing a young man with intense eyes and a scar running down his cheek. Name's Alex. I used to work on the projects before I left. I've seen things you need to know. Rachel stepped forward, her journalistic instincts kicking in. What kind of things? Alex glanced around nervously before continuing. After Project Arachne was exposed, they didn't stop. They rebranded and started a new initiative, Project Nemesis. It's focused on creating not just super soldiers, but perfect weapons. Enhanced humans with no moral compass, designed to eliminate threats without hesitation. Maya frowned, absorbing the information. Where are they operating from? Alex handed over a data drive. This contains everything I have: locations, blueprints, personnel files. They're planning to launch the first phase soon. If we don't act now, it could mean the end of what we've been fighting for. Ethan took the drive, his mind racing. Thank you for coming forward, Alex. We'll make sure this information gets out. As they left the warehouse, the gravity of the situation weighed heavily on them. Project Nemesis was a step beyond anything they had faced before, and the stakes were higher than ever. Determined to stop the new initiative, the team knew that their mission was far from over. Back at the safe house, they analyzed the data Alex had provided. The information was extensive, detailing advanced genetic modifications, weaponized abilities, and a network of operatives embedded within various sectors. It was clear that Project Nemesis was not just a continuation but an escalation of their previous adversary. We need to prioritize our targets, Maya suggested, pointing to several key locations on the map. These facilities are where they're developing the most dangerous enhancements. Taking them down will cripple their operations. Sarah nodded in agreement. We also need to identify and protect any individuals who might be targeted next. The military won't hesitate to eliminate anyone who poses a threat to their plans. Rachel looked up from her notes, her expression resolute. I'll start preparing reports and coordinating with media contacts. We need to get the word out before Project Nemesis can fully launch. Ethan took a deep breath, feeling the weight of leadership settle on him. "We'll need to work smarter this time. Their defenses are more advanced, and they won't be caught off guard. We'll need to use every resource at our disposal." As the days turned into weeks, the team embarked on a series of missions to dismantle Project Nemesis. Each operation was meticulously planned, leveraging Ethan's abilities to infiltrate secure locations, gather intelligence, and neutralize threats. The battles were fierce, pushing them to their limits, but their unwavering determination kept them moving forward. One night, as they prepared for what would be their most critical mission yet, a raid on the primary facility housing Project Nemesis's core operations, Ethan felt a sense of foreboding. The air was thick with anticipation, the team united in their purpose but aware of the immense risks ahead. "We've come too far to back down now," Ethan said, addressing his team. "This mission could change everything. We need to stay focused and work together. Trust in each other and in what we're fighting for." Maya placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "We've faced tough challenges before. We can do this." Rachel nodded, her eyes steely with determination. "Let's make sure their actions are exposed to the world." Sarah stood beside them, her presence a symbol of their collective strength. "For everyone who can't fight for themselves." With a final nod, the team moved out under the cover of darkness, their path illuminated by the soft glow of their mission-critical gear. The primary facility was located in an isolated area, surrounded by dense forests and fortified with advanced security measures. Infiltrating such a stronghold required precision and stealth, traits that the team had honed through their previous endeavors. Ethan led the way, scaling the perimeter with ease, his enhanced agility allowing him to bypass physical barriers effortlessly. The team followed closely, moving silently through the underbrush, avoiding patrols, and disabling surveillance systems as they went. Every step brought them closer to their goal, the tension mounting with each passing moment. As they approached the main entrance, the facility's exterior loomed ominously, its structure a blend of modern architecture and militaristic design. Maya worked swiftly to disable the electronic locks, her fingers dancing across the control panel with practiced efficiency. The door clicked open, granting them access without triggering alarms. Inside, the facility was a hive of activity, scientists and military personnel moving with purpose, unaware of the impending threat. The team split into smaller groups, each assigned specific tasks: gathering evidence, disabling security protocols, and ensuring the safety of any potential whistleblowers within the facility. Ethan moved through the corridors with purpose, his senses alert for any sign of resistance. The air was sterile, filled with the hum of machinery and the distant chatter of conversations. As he navigated deeper into the facility, he couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched, the weight of countless secrets pressing down on him. Reaching the central lab, Ethan found Maya and Rachel already hard at work. The room was filled with high-tech equipment and displays showcasing the latest advancements in genetic enhancements. At the center stood a large containment chamber, its door reinforced with multiple layers of security. "This is where they're developing the most advanced subjects," Maya whispered, pointing to the chamber. "We need to gather as much information as possible before we move to free them." Rachel approached a nearby terminal, her fingers flying over the keyboard. "I'm extracting all the data on Project Nemesis's latest experiments. This could provide the final pieces of the puzzle." As they worked, the sound of footsteps echoed through the corridor, growing louder with each passing second. The team tensed, preparing for an encounter. Just as the door to the lab swung open, Ethan sprang into action, unleashing a web that incapacitated the approaching guards before they could react. "Move," he shouted, his voice cutting through the tension. The team sprang into action, gathering the necessary data and securing the chamber for potential rescue missions. As they prepared to leave, a sudden alarm blared, signaling that their presence had been detected. "We've been compromised," Maya announced, her eyes scanning the incoming threats on her screen. "Get out of here, now," Ethan ordered, leading the team through a series of back corridors and hidden passages designed for emergencies. The facility was now on high alert, with security forces mobilizing to capture the intruders. As they navigated the maze-like structure, Ethan felt a surge of adrenaline. Their mission was far from over, and the challenges ahead were formidable. But the stakes were too high to falter now. The future of ethical scientific advancement depended on their success. Bursting through the final door, the team emerged into the cool night air, the sounds of chaos behind them. Sirens wailed in the distance, a stark reminder of the confrontation they had left behind. Without wasting a moment, they moved swiftly through the forest, their escape route meticulously planned to avoid pursuit. Back at the safe house, the team analyzed the data they had retrieved. The information was explosive, detailing not only the advancements of Project Nemesis but also the future plans that threatened to push genetic engineering into dangerous new territories. "This is what we need to expose," Rachel said, her eyes reflecting the gravity of their discovery. Ethan nodded, feeling a sense of accomplishment tempered by the challenges that still lay ahead. "We need to get this information out before they can regroup and continue their work. The public needs to know the full extent of what they're planning." Maya looked up from her screen, determination etched on her face. "I'll start working on decrypting the files and ensuring they're secure. We need to protect this information from falling into the wrong hands." Sarah stepped forward, her eyes meeting Ethan's with unwavering resolve. "I can reach out to other former subjects and whistleblowers. If we unite our efforts, we can create a network strong enough to counteract their influence." As the team collaborated, their bond grew stronger, forged through shared struggles and a common purpose. They were no longer just a group of individuals fighting against a corrupt system. They had become a unified force, driven by the desire to protect humanity from the perils of unchecked scientific ambition. Days turned into weeks as they worked tirelessly to disseminate the information and build their network. Protests intensified, government officials faced mounting pressure, and the public's demand for transparency and accountability reached a fever pitch. Project Nemesis, once shrouded in secrecy, was now under intense scrutiny, its operations exposed to the world. One evening, as Ethan sat in the safe house, reflecting on their progress, he received a secure message from an unexpected source. The sender was none other than Colonel Ramirez, the man who had once been their primary adversary. "Ethan Weaver, I realize now the error of my ways. Project Arachne and Project Nemesis were misguided attempts at progress. I want to help you expose the remaining operations and make amends for my actions. Meet me at the abandoned facility on Elm Street." Ramirez. Ethan shared the message with his team, the revelation sparking a mix of emotions. Trust was a scarce commodity, and Ramirez had been the architect of their suffering. Yet, the potential to gain insider information was invaluable. After a brief discussion, they decided to proceed with caution, recognizing that every piece of information could be crucial in their fight against unethical experimentation. Under the cover of night, Ethan, Maya, Rachel, and Sarah made their way to the abandoned facility. The building stood silent and imposing, its windows boarded up and graffiti-covered walls a testament to its forgotten past. As they approached, the door creaked open, revealing Ramirez standing in the shadows, his expression one of genuine remorse. "Ethan," Ramirez began, his voice tinged with regret. "I owe you an apology. I was blinded by ambition and the promise of creating something extraordinary. I failed to see the humanity in my actions." Ethan remained cautious, his eyes never leaving Ramirez's. "Why should we trust you?" Ramirez took a step forward, his hands raised in a gesture of peace. "Because I want to make things right. I have information on the remaining Project Nemesis operations, locations, and key personnel. I can help you dismantle it once and for all." Maya stepped forward, her skepticism evident. "How do we know this isn't another trap?" Ramirez sighed, understanding their hesitation. "I don't expect you to trust me immediately. But my conscience won't let me stay silent while others continue to suffer. Let me prove my intentions." After a tense moment, Ethan nodded, signaling his team to remain alert but open to the possibility of reconciliation. "All right, Ramirez. We'll hear you out." But any sign of deceit, and you won't live to regret it. Ramirez led them through the facility, revealing hidden rooms and secret passages that housed the remnants of Project Nemesis. The information he provided was detailed and comprehensive, outlining the inner workings of the project and the remaining threats that lingered in the shadows. With Ramirez's assistance, the team was able to identify and neutralize the last of the Project Nemesis facilities. Each operation was executed with precision, dismantling the infrastructure that threatened to reignite the cycle of unethical experimentation. The final blow came when they uncovered the central hub of Project Nemesis, a facility where the most advanced and dangerous experiments were being conducted. As they prepared for the final mission, Ethan felt a sense of closure approaching. The journey had been arduous, filled with sacrifices and moments of doubt, but the culmination of their efforts was within reach. This was the moment that would define their legacy, ensuring that the mistakes of the past would not be repeated. Under the cover of darkness, the team moved towards the central hub, their hearts steady with resolve. Ramirez, now an unlikely ally, provided invaluable intel, guiding them through the labyrinthine corridors with ease. The facility was heavily guarded, but the team was undeterred, their unity and purpose driving them forward. Inside the main lab, they found rows of containment chambers housing the final generation of enhanced subjects. These individuals, stripped of their humanity and moral compass, were the culmination of Project Nemesis's dark ambition. As Ethan approached, he felt a pang of empathy for those who had been forced into this existence, their lives irrevocably altered by the military's hubris. Maya worked swiftly to disable the security systems, while Rachel began documenting the evidence needed to expose the facility once and for all. Sarah and Ramirez focused on securing the area, ensuring that no unauthorized personnel could interfere with their mission. As they gathered the final pieces of evidence, alarms blared, signaling that the facility had detected their presence. Security forces flooded in, their movements swift and coordinated. The team braced themselves for the confrontation, knowing that this would be their ultimate test. Ethan stepped forward, his enhanced abilities at the ready. "This ends now. We won't let you continue this nightmare." The lead guard, a heavily armed soldier with an air of authority, stepped into the room. "You won't stop us. Project Nemesis is beyond your control." Ethan responded with unwavering determination. "It's not too late to end this. Let the world know the truth." A fierce battle ensued, the clash of wills and powers echoing through the facility. Ethan moved with agility and precision, his webs disabling and incapacitating the guards with ease. Maya and Sarah provided support, their combined efforts overwhelming the opposition, while Rachel ensured that every moment was captured for undeniable evidence. Ramirez, fighting alongside his former adversaries, displayed a newfound sense of purpose. Together, they overcame the guards, dismantling the facility's defenses and neutralizing the threats that stood in their way. The battle was intense, but the team's unity and resilience proved to be their greatest strength. As the final guard fell, silence enveloped the room. The team stood victorious, the remnants of Project Nemesis lying defeated around them. Ethan approached the containment chambers, feeling a deep sense of responsibility for the lives that had been lost and altered by the project. "We need to free them," he said softly, his voice filled with empathy. Maya nodded, her expression resolute. "Let's make sure they get the help they need." One by one, the enhanced subjects were released from their containment, their confused and disoriented expressions giving way to hope as they realized their freedom. Ethan and his team provided immediate assistance, ensuring that they received the care and support necessary to reintegrate into society. With the facility dismantled and Project Nemesis eradicated, the team returned to the safe house, their mission finally complete. The evidence they had gathered was disseminated across global platforms, leaving no room for denial or suppression. The world had been shaken by the revelations, and the demand for ethical oversight in genetic engineering reached unprecedented heights. In the weeks that followed, government officials were held accountable, facing charges for their involvement in the unethical experiments. Policies were enacted to regulate genetic research, ensuring that the horrors of Project Arachne and Project Nemesis would never be repeated. The public's trust in scientific advancement was restored, tempered by a newfound commitment to ethical responsibility. Ethan, Maya, Rachel, and Sarah found themselves hailed as heroes, their efforts celebrated by a grateful society. But for Ethan, the true reward was the knowledge that they had made a tangible difference, preventing further suffering and ensuring a brighter future for all. One evening, as the team gathered at their favorite rooftop spot overlooking the city, Ethan reflected on their journey. The path had been fraught with challenges, but their unity and unwavering determination had seen them through. "We did it," Ethan said, a sense of fulfillment in his voice. "We actually did it." Maya smiled, her eyes shining with pride. "And we'll continue to make sure it stays that way." Rachel raised a glass, her expression one of triumph. "To us, and to a future where science serves humanity, not the other way around." Sarah joined in, her voice filled with hope. "To making a difference, one step at a time." As they clinked glasses, the sun set over the horizon, casting a golden glow across the city. The scars of the past were healing, replaced by the promise of a better tomorrow. Ethan felt a profound sense of peace, knowing that their fight had not been in vain and that their legacy would inspire future generations to uphold the values of ethics and humanity. In the months that followed, the team continued their work, supporting the freed subjects and advocating for ethical scientific practices. They established a network dedicated to monitoring and regulating genetic research, ensuring that the lessons of Project Arachne and Project Nemesis were never forgotten. Their efforts fostered a culture of transparency and accountability, safeguarding against the misuse of genetic advancements. Ethan embraced his role as a symbol of resilience and hope, using his abilities to protect and assist those in need. He became a beacon for others who had been affected by unethical experiments, offering support and guidance as they navigated their new lives. His journey had transformed him from a lab technician into a leader, driven by a deep sense of justice and compassion. One day, as Ethan walked through a park, watching children play and families enjoy the sunshine, he felt a sense of fulfillment wash over him. The world was moving in the right direction, and the promise of a brighter future was within reach. The rise of the spider web had not just been a tale of transformation and escape, it had become a testament to the power of unity, the importance of ethical responsibility, and the unwavering belief in the inherent value of every life. As he turned to join his team, Ethan knew that their work was far from over. New challenges would arise, and the fight for justice and ethical advancement would continue. But with his allies by his side and the support of a growing movement, he was ready to face whatever lay ahead, determined to protect the world from the shadows of unchecked ambition and to ensure that the web they had spun was one of justice, compassion, and enduring hope.